Hello everyone, this is Priyas Antony, student of MEd Special Education. Today I would like to present my paper on classroom management. The title of the paper is Inclusive Education, paper code MCP 203, Unit 4, Building Inclusive Learning Environments, and the subunit 4.1 is our topic for the day, classroom management. Dear friends, recently I came across a new concept which in itself is not new, but for me it was new. TPACK model by Mishra and Kohler. The TPACK model, the TPACK, TPACK stands for Technology, Pedagogy and Content Knowledge. It describes teachers' knowledge about content, pedagogy, and technology, and the overlaps between these types of knowledge that are necessary for teaching in any context. The three things that we just heard about it is very, very important for any teacher. The knowledge of the content, the pedagogical content knowledge, and the technological pedagogical knowledge is very important for any teacher to be successful in his or her career. Classroom management, it's a common topic we might have heard about maybe a number of times. Those who are in the educational field, you might be well aware of its need for the day. Whatever may be, classroom management is a teacher's greatest concern even today. It is so basic to everything else in the classroom that most educators agree it is the only thing that makes or breaks teachers. It need not be the whole class that misbehaves. 3 or 4 students, even one, can so disrupt a class that learning becomes impossible for even the best behaved students. Certainly, teachers have real difficulties with classroom management. However, we are concerned that inappropriate emphasis on order and control through power, punishment, or any kind of fear can impede teachers' abilities to achieve other important educational aims. Learning cannot occur with chaotic environment, and we believe strongly that classroom order is essential. However, classroom management is a means to an end and not an end in itself. Classroom management strategies, like other instructional strategies, must be determined within the context of the teacher's aim for education. Strategies that work to keep children quiet and on task but undermine the aim of empowering students are problematic for teachers who accept empowerment as the principal aim of education. In this assignment, I have endeavored to explain the classroom management in an inclusive education setup. Beneath, we shall discuss on the concept, definition, factors influencing, objectives, principles, challenges, physical arrangements, and how to ensure classroom management in learning, emotional, and social environments, ending with discussions on the ideal classroom management strategies. First of all, let us try to understand the concept of classroom management. In order to understand the concept of classroom management, we need to first of all understand what do we mean by classroom and what do we mean by management. So first of all, let us discuss about classroom. Most of us are acquainted with the concept classroom. Classroom refers to a specially designed space to teach students without any interruption. It is also a place that is specifically designed for the students to be equipped with learning environment. The concept of management, on the other hand, is a process of planning, decision making, organizing, leading, motivating, and controlling the human resources, financial, physical, and information resources of an organization to reach its goals efficiently and effectively. As we all know, that management is an essential function within all organizations. Among those subsystems into which the overall social system or the society is differentiated, the organization is the form of every human association for the attainment of a common purpose. Thus, taking together the concept of classroom and management, Carol Simon Weinstein and Nancy Jo Schaffer defined classroom management as the actions teachers take to establish and sustain an environment that fosters students' academic achievement as well as their social, emotional, and moral growth. According to the Glossary of Education Reform, classroom management refers to the wide variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive on task, and academically productive during a class. Now, let's discuss some of the factors influencing classroom management. The factors influencing classroom management are multifaceted and can vary greatly depending on the context. Here are some of the key factors. The first one is teachers' leadership style and approach. As we all know, that the way a teacher leads the classroom significantly affects management. Authoritative, democratic, or any other styles each have different impacts on student behavior and engagement. The way a teacher establishes rules and interacts with the students can affect their management and engagement and adherence to classroom norms. The second one is student characteristics and their disabilities. Age, maturity level, and individual personalities can influence how a class needs to be managed. Diverse learning needs and behavioral tendencies also play a role. Accommodating students with disabilities may require additional resources and can influence classroom dynamics. The third factor is classroom environment. Classroom environment is one of the most important aspects. The physical layout, seating arrangement, and overall ambience of the classroom can significantly impact student behavior and learning. Classroom size also matters because larger classes can present more challenges in terms of individual attention and maintaining order, while smaller classes may allow for more personalized management strategies. That's the reason why the latest policies demand that in every classes a limited number of students to be kept so that the teacher is able to concentrate more on the students. The fourth one is curriculum content. Curriculum content, without any further argument, agreed by everyone, is the most important thing that the teacher should have. As we heard it in the TPAC model, that the content knowledge of the teacher is very, very important to be a teacher. Subjects that are engaging and relevant to students can lead to better managed classrooms, while content that is not aligned with students' interests or levels may lead to disengagement and management issues. The content knowledge gives confidence to the teacher to efficiently work within the classroom. The fifth one is instructional strategies. Every teacher has got his or her own method of teaching. He or she may follow their own strategies, their own methods. And so, the methods and techniques used for teaching, such as group work, lectures, or hands on activities, can affect classroom dynamics and the need for different management approaches. The sixth one is school policies. School wide rules and policies provide a framework for classroom management and influence how teachers can respond to certain behaviors. Of course, today the modernized schools competing in the modern era have got their own school policies which emphasizes that every teacher and every student must work for oneself by keeping up the discipline and the academic objectives that they expect to be the best at the end of the academic session. The seventh one is teacher preparation and training. Adequate training in classroom management strategies equip teachers to handle various situations effectively. A teacher without adequate training will not be able to function within the classroom properly, and at times it may lead to a lot of further issues in the school and in the classroom as well. The last factor is technological resources. Technology, as we all know, is the demand of every institution. The knowledge about the technology and the usage of it and the skill that every single teacher possesses gives them a great hand to work efficiently within the classroom. Access to technology can enhance learning but also requires management of digital devices and online behavior. So, dear friends, understanding these factors can help us educators develop more effective classroom management strategies tailored to their specific teaching environment. Now, let's discuss the objectives of classroom management. The objectives of classroom management is in inclusive education are designed to support a learning environment where all students, regardless of their abilities and backgrounds, can participate fully and effectively. Here are some of the key objectives. The first is to foster a welcoming learning environment. Every teacher should create a classroom atmosphere where all students feel valued and included. If this is not done, then we are somewhere in the wrong track where we ourselves become the barrier for an inclusive classroom environment. The second is to promote equity and access. Every teacher should ensure that all students have equal access to learning opportunities and resources. No one left behind is the concept of the modern world. So, the concept of equity and equal access should be provided to every student. The third is support diverse learning needs. Every teacher should adapt teaching methods and materials to meet the varied needs of students with and without disabilities. It's not that we always concentrate on the disabled only. We also know that even the non disabled face problems in the educational environment. They too undergo a lot of difficulties. So, adapting teaching methods and materials should meet the varied needs of each and every students. The fourth one is encourage positive and social interactions. Teachers should facilitate interactions and friendships among students to build a supportive community. Creating interactionary sessions, friendships that play a key important role is must needed in the inclusive classroom environment. The fifth one is implement differentiated instruction. Teachers should use a variety of instructional strategies to cater to different learning styles and levels of each and every student. As we all know, that every student learns differently. So teachers can differentiate the content, process and product according to the student's readiness, interest and learning profile. This will lead to a successful classroom management of the teacher. The sixth is cultivate independence and self advocacy. The teachers should develop the skills in the students to manage their own learning and advocate for their needs. Now, what do we understand by self advocacy? Like speaking up for oneself, staying informed and knowing how to get information, knowing your rights and responsibilities, finding people who will support you, solving problems, reacting to others when you need help, talking control, sorry, taking control of your own life, self determination. So, the teachers should develop the skills in the students to manage their own learning and advocate for their needs. The last one is prepare for real world diversity. Teachers should equip students with the ability to thrive in a diverse society by experiencing inclusivity firsthand. These above given objectives align with the broader goals of inclusive education, which emphasize the importance of providing a supportive and equitable learning environment for all students. Now let's proceed to the principles of classroom management. The principles of classroom management are linked with an effective instructional process. The instructional process is based on the teacher's personal efforts and the objectives that he or she and his or her learners are supposed to achieve. The principles of classroom management reflect the concern of the teacher for his or her teaching task. If the teacher evinces a strong concern for his or her teaching and also for his or her learners, the teacher will prove to be a successful manager. According to Christian, there are some major principles of the classroom management. They are Principle of clarity and mastery over content. This is what we saw already in the TPAC model. The first principle of managing classroom instruction is the teacher's command over the subjects he or she is dealing with. The teacher should have a thorough knowledge of the school curriculum and his or her subject. Thorough knowledge implies mastery in one's subject, which helps a teacher if teach effectively in a classroom. The second one is principle of involvement. The teacher can use a principle to make the teaching learning process more participatory. Active involvement of the learners in instructional tasks is a condition of learning. The skills of questioning, receiving and providing feedback, etc., can make teaching and learning a two-way process. Interactive teaching and learning is possible only when the teacher has thoughtfully planned his or her teaching activities. If the learners are actively engaged in learning tasks in a classroom, they not only achieve mastery learning but also create minimum problems for the teacher. And moreover, the learner's energy is channelized for productive work. The third principle is principle of democratic behavior. As we all know, that democracy is a way of life, a way of working together to achieve the common goal. This is what we understand from the way our nation is set up. Our country is a democratic country wherein all the citizens work together for one purpose, that is the purpose and the goal of the nation. Similarly, the teacher provides equal opportunity to every learner to participate in teaching learning activities. This behavior of the teacher develops a healthy positive attitude among the learners for learning. The learners learn how to find a solution in classroom through understanding of each other's views. The fourth one is principle of teacher's behavior. While presenting a lesson, the teacher's behavior should display various positive attributes: confidence, determination, willpower, etc. We know that the behavior of the teacher directly or indirectly creates a learning environment in the classroom and thus helps manage a classroom with desired and expected learning behavior. We as teachers should therefore be conscious that our behavior in the classroom is being minutely observed by our learners. Our behavior should not directly or indirectly have any negative impact on our learners. The fifth principle is principle of self-control. The teacher has to be firm and consistent in classroom behavior. If the teacher has a strong conviction that and has a deep commitment to the tasks assigned to him or her, he or she will be able to manage instruction effectively. The self control of a teacher should enable him or her to control his or her behavior. This will encourage learners to develop self control in their behavior. Through these means, the teacher can lead his learners towards growth and development of internal control, self discipline, and positive attitude and work through various learning activities in the classroom. Principle of flexibility. The principle of flexibility is not opposed to the principle of self control. Sometimes we misunderstand that a teacher who is more flexible is not able to control the class. The teacher should display flexibility in his or her behavior and accommodate the learner's ideas, plans, and observation from time to time. For the reason Not only the teachers but also the students might have a creative way of thinking, creative ideas or plans, and even observations. So, depending upon the requirement of the prevailing situation, the teacher should be able to make necessary changes in his or her behavior and in the teaching learning activities. This will help him or her evolve alternative strategies and use them to achieve the curricular objectives. By giving due importance to the ideas and observations of the learners, you too can make your teaching more learner oriented and hence be more productive. The final one is principle of personal attributes. The personal attributes of the teacher, such as warmth, sympathy, empathy, etc., have a strong bearing on learners' behavior in the classroom. The teacher's caretaking behavior, harmony, and respect for one another show dignity of work, bring peace and self discipline, and indirectly control the undesirable behavior of the learners. The teacher plays an important role in determining the kind of psychosocial climate that prevails in the classroom. The behavior of the learners can be modified, controlled in every consistent ways through leadership played by the teacher. It's not just about teaching, but also showing one's own personal attributes as an example to the students to be effective and to manage well the classroom. These are the few principles we have just discussed. Then let's move on to the challenges of inclusive classroom management. Certainly, inclusive classroom management faces several challenges related to infrastructure and other facilities. In addition to teaching staff, infrastructure is also a part that physical barriers like slippery floorings, inadequate illumination, and poor ventilation can affect the learning environment for all students, especially those with mobility challenges or sensory impairments. Inappropriate classroom furniture can also hinder students' comfort and participation. As we all could see in the image that is given on the screen, the first set of image where the child is unable to access the school. Though it is written full participation, society for all, and so on. But in the second one, maybe using a wheelchair or a ramp, the school gets accessible. So, removing the physical barriers is very, very important for deciding and applying proper access to the schools, which is also a part of the classroom management. The fourth one is teachers' preparedness and training. Teachers need training and professional development to effectively manage inclusive classrooms. Understanding diverse learning needs, adapting teaching strategies, and creating an inclusive atmosphere are essential. Lack of training can lead to challenges in addressing individual student requirements. Most of the time, what happens is the teachers are not prepared. They don't show any willingness to even work. Most of the teachers who are qualified in special education are found working in general schools today. So, the concept of teaching properly and training the teachers for such kind of inclusive setup is important in today's society. The final one is financial constraints. Of course, we cannot deny this fact that finance plays a major role in implementing inclusive classroom and management of the classroom as well. Implementing inclusive practices often requires additional funding. Schools may struggle to allocate resources for infrastructure modifications, teacher training, and specialized support. Advocacy for increased funding and resource allocation is crucial. Thus, creating truly inclusive classrooms involve addressing infrastructure challenges, providing necessary facilities, and ensuring that teachers are well prepared to meet the diverse needs of all students. Now let's discuss the physical arrangement of the class for the better classroom management. Inclusive education involves creating an environment in which all students, regardless of their differences, are valued and supported. Seating arrangements can play an important role in creating an inclusive classroom environment. Here are some considerations for seating arrangements in inclusive classroom. The first one is flexibility. The seating arrangements should be flexible and adaptable to meet the diverse needs of students. This means having the ability to rearrange desks and chairs to accommodate different learning styles and physical abilities. The second one is proximity. Seating arrangements should be based on the needs of the students. For example, students who need extra help or support should be seated closer to the teacher, while students who prefer independent work should be seated away from distractions. The third one is grouping. Grouping students based on their needs and abilities can be an effective way to support inclusive education. For example, students who struggle with a particular subject could be grouped with students who excel in that subject to provide peer support and collaboration. The fourth one is accessibility. Seating arrangements should be accessible to all students, including those with physical disabilities. This means ensuring that desks and chairs are at the appropriate height and that there is enough space to maneuver a wheelchair. The fifth one is diversity. Seating arrangements should reflect the diversity of the classroom. This means ensuring that students from different backgrounds and cultures are represented in different groupings and that all students have the opportunity to interact and learn from each other. Thus, we have seen inclusive education requires careful planning and consideration of the needs of all students by providing proper physical accessibility by removing physical barrier. Now let's move on to how to ensure the management of inclusive learning environment. Creating an inclusive learning environment in education is essential to ensure that all learners, regardless of their abilities or disabilities, feel welcomed, supported, and able to participate fully. So, here are some of the strategies to foster an inclusive learning environment. The first one is equity and inclusion practices. UNESCO emphasizes that every learner matters and matters equally. This principle underscores the importance of treating all students with equal respect and ensuring their inclusion in educational settings. Diversity, equity, and inclusion embed these principles within the educational system. This addresses the barriers and provides the facilities and services for children with special needs to promote access to schooling for all children with disability and without disabilities as well. The second one is whole school approach. Resource allocation equips schools with necessary resources, including school complexes and resource centers. We need to engage special educators to support students with diverse needs. We also need to provide training for teachers and special educators and encourage co curricular activities such as arts, sports, and vocational education as part of inclusive activities. The third one is establish ground rules that promote kindness, empathy, and inclusivity. Encourage open communication and active listening among the students. Consistently enforce rules to create a supportive atmosphere. The fourth one is adapted teaching practices. Practices like differentiated instruction. The differentiation done in the content, process, and product, tailoring teaching methods to accommodate various learning styles and abilities, and the usage of technology, which integrates technology to support diverse learners and enhances their learning capacities. Also, the UDL, Universal Design for Learning, which designs lessons that addresses different needs and preferences. The fifth one is teacher empowerment, professional development, which supports teachers in developing inclusive practices. Collaboration, which is often done in the schools, fosters collaboration among teachers, special educators, and other stakeholders, which in turn enhances the learning outcome of every student. Challenges and solutions address challenges faced by teachers and school leaders to overcome barriers. Thus, creating an inclusive learning environment is a collective effort that involves educators, policymakers, and the entire school community. By prioritizing equity, respect, and adaptability, we can build a more inclusive educational system where every learner thrives. Now let's discuss about how to ensure the emotional environment. Creating an inclusive and emotionally supportive environment in education is crucial for the well being and success of all learners. Every person undergoes through a lot of emotional struggles, emotional imbalances. So here are some of the strategies to foster a positive emotional environment. The first is promote diversity and fairness. Celebrate differences and create an atmosphere where every student feels valued. Do not separate them based on the differences and the different capacities of the students, but rather make other students to accept and appreciate the differences found in others. Also address the stereotypes and biases to ensure fairness and respect for all. The second one is high expectations and belief in students. The teacher should always set high expectations for every learner, regardless of their background or abilities. Show faith in students' abilities and focus on their strengths rather than limitations. A teacher who focuses on the limitations, the issues, the difficulties of a student will fail to enhance the learning outcome. If the teacher shows faith in the child and keeps on appreciating, motivating, the student is set to succeed in life. The third one is peer interaction and appreciation. Encourage students of different abilities and backgrounds to interact. Make sure that every day they greet each other, every day they speak to each other, every day they discuss something with each other. This creates a relationship between the students and among the students. Also, create opportunities for peer collaboration and mutual understanding. Appreciate and respect each other's differences. The fourth one is identify and support student needs. Regularly assess students' emotional needs. Every child undergoes a lot of emotional issues every day. Therefore, assessing the student's emotional needs is one of the greatest thing that a teacher can do to help out the child to have confidence in himself or herself. Also provide necessary support and monitor their progress. This will help the teacher where to concentrate in the next level. Thus, an emotionally supportive environment enhances learning, builds resilience, and empowers every learner to thrive. Let's proceed further to how to ensure the social environment. The term social environment refers to the way that a classroom environment influences or supports the interactions that occur among young children, teachers, and family members. A well designed social environment helps foster positive peer relationships, creates positive interactions between adults and children, and provides opportunities for adults to support children to achieve their social goals. To create a classroom environment that supports positive social interactions, teachers need to plan activities that take the following aspects into consideration. The first point to be considered is group size and composition. Children should spend time every day in different kinds of groups. Groups of various sizes open up different opportunities for social interaction and learning. Activities suited to large groups include opening groups, circle time, story time, meal times, and outside time. Small groups allow more time for interaction with individual children and are ideal for teaching new skills and providing feedback. Additionally, small groups offer more opportunities for children to practice their language skills and for teachers to facilitate children's communication development. Groups can either be made up of children with similar skills and abilities or mixed abilities. Homogeneous groups are ideal for teaching targeted skills or skills that meet the particular needs of a subset of children. The second point to be considered is teacher versus child initiated activities. A learning environment's daily routine should include both teacher initiated and child initiated activities. Teacher initiated activities are those that the teacher plans and leads, such as story time or a small group learning activity. Generally, a child initiated activity is one that allows children to foster their interests and explore their passions. When the teachers plan activities for the social environment, they should take notes of students' preferred activities, assign classroom jobs or responsibilities, make sure that every child has the opportunity to be a leader and a helper. Make sure that every child has frequent opportunities to answer questions, make choices, or offer comments. The third point to be considered is activities that promote interactions. Activities, games, and toys that require two or more children to participate have been shown to promote social interaction. More different types of materials promote different types of play and social interaction. But we need to concentrate when we provide such kind of activities that we should limit the amount of materials so that children have to share to promote social interaction. Be careful not to limit to the point that children argue over them. Also, plan projects that can be done as groups or in pairs. For example, teachers can give two children one large piece of paper to create a collage. Also, provide toys such as dolls and building blocks that are likely to encourage social interaction. The fourth one is, sorry, the above given are some of the considerations and activities that promotes social interactions. There are many more, but I have limited myself to these. Now let's go ahead with our discussion of ideal classroom management strategies, which is the core of this presentation. There is a definite need for teachers to be supported in implementing an inclusive classroom. A rigorous literature review of studies found that most teachers had either neutral or negative attitudes about inclusive education. It turns out that much of this is because they do not feel that they are very knowledgeable, competent, or confident about how to educate children with special needs. However, similar to parents, teachers with more experience, and in the case of teachers, more training with inclusive education, were significantly more positive about it. Evidence supports that to be effective, teachers need an understanding of best practices in teaching and of adapted instruction for children with special needs. But positive attitudes towards inclusion are also among the most important for creating an inclusive classroom that works. So, below are some of the strategies for creating or managing the classroom well. The first is use use of variety of instructional formats. Start with whole group instruction and transition to flexible groupings, which could be small groups, station centers, and paired learning. With regard to the whole group, use technology such as interactive whiteboards is related to high student engagement. Regard to flexible groupings for younger students, these are often teacher led, but for older students, they can be student led with teacher monitoring. Peer supported learning can be very effective and engaging and take the form of pair work, cooperative grouping, peer tutoring, and student led demonstrations. The second strategy is build an authoritative personality. The teacher's personality can make or break the classroom management strategy. When the teacher is confident and has a strong presence in the room, learners are compelled to respect them and adhere to their word. The third one is establish a behavior management. Teachers must be prepared to counter any behavioral issues, including consequences for misbehavior. Think about the typical scenarios for misbehavior management and decide your reaction beforehand. Then enforce the determined consequences without emotion. The fourth one is build positive relationship with your students. Good classroom management starts by establishing positive relationships. When teachers understand their students' learning needs, interests, and ambitions, they can build trust and garner student cooperation for good classroom management. The fifth strategy is create a solid lesson plan. As we all know, subject matter expertise and lesson planning are the foundations of strong classroom management. Teachers should plan lessons at the beginning of the term. It will enable you to give the class a roadmap and adapt your approach as needed. The sixth strategy is to keep a consistent teaching style. Once you determine your students' learning styles and the best pedagogical approach for your class, create a teaching style around it and be consistent. Do not keep on changing, but rather be consistent. A consistent teaching style enables students to understand your expectations and respect your boundaries. The seventh one is apply universal design for learning, which I have already spoken in the previous slides. In conclusion, effective classroom management in an inclusive classroom is pivotal for fostering a learning environment where every student feels valued and empowered. It involves establishing clear management strategies within the first week of school, understanding and addressing the unique challenges that come with inclusivity, and managing behavior through positive reinforcement and respect for diversity. Teachers play a crucial role in shaping these environments. Their attitudes towards inclusion, combined with their ability to implement clear rules and successful time management, can significantly influence the social acceptance and academic success of all students, including those with special educational needs. By prioritizing positive classroom management, educators can create a flow of self esteem, respect, appropriate behavior, strong relationships, and the inclusion of one another. Ultimately, an inclusive classroom managed effectively is not just about accommodating differences, but celebrating them as strengths. It prepares students for the real world by promoting learning, success, and the social development of all individuals involved. As educators, continue to adapt and refine their classroom management strategies. They contribute to a more equitable and inclusive future for education. Thank you.